You know what I miss? The Wii Shop channel. Specifically the sound of the Wii Shop channel. Specifically the groove. Specifically that bossa nova beat that made you feel like you were on a shopping spree in a digital mall rather than just staring at a list of products in dead silence. But you know who doesn't miss it? Apparently, Nintendo. Because if you've seen the Switch 2's UI, you might have noticed something. It's exactly the same as the Switch UI, which was fine. It was functional, it was efficient, and about as charming as a tax form. Nintendo, the company that once gave us the ability to customize our 3DS with themes featuring adorable Pikmin or Splatoon ink splatter, now thinks the height of design is grey rectangles. Grey rectangles that don't make any music. Grey rectangles that all look the same. Grey rectangles that spark no joy and make corporate PowerPoint presentations seem exciting. Today, we're going to explore how Nintendo went from creating some of the most charming, personality-filled interfaces in gaming to, well, this. Here's the thing. Nintendo's interfaces aren't just menus. At the best, they're extensions of the Nintendo experience itself. They're playful, musical, customizable little worlds that make you feel something before you even start playing a game. Or at least they used to be. This is the Nintendo Switch 2's user interface, releasing in June this year, 2025. It's a menu. It shows you your games, you can click on them, and then it works. And this is the Nintendo 3DS interface from 2011. It had customizable themes with unique music. It had personality. It had charm. It made you smile. So, what happened? How did Nintendo go from creating interfaces that were extensions of their playful brand identity to functional but soulless grids? To get to the bottom of this, let's do a quick recap. So you had the SNES, you had the NES, and you had the N64. They all didn't really have menu systems. You turned them on, and boom! Game. The closest thing to an interface was blowing into the cartridge when it didn't work, which, while interactive and pretty fun, wasn't exactly a designed experience. Now the GameCube, things get interesting here. So it introduced Nintendo's first real console interface, and it was weird in the best possible way. We had an actual menu screen introduced. Sure, it was hidden and you had to hold the A button to access it, but it was there. And that startup sound, that little rhythmic cube animation, it was distinctive. It was personality. It wasn't just functional, it was memorable. Then came the Wii in 2006, and Nintendo went all in on interface as experience. The channel system was designed to be accessible to everyone, from hardcore gamers to grandparents who never touched a controller. The Wii Shop music, it became an internet meme before we really had internet memes.
Turn that up. I love that grooving. What kind of music is that? Like a bossa nova beat?
This wasn't just background music. This was a vibe. This was Nintendo saying, hey, shopping for games can be fun. I know, what a concept. Now, the 3DS took this philosophy even further with its theme shop. You could customize your entire interface with different backgrounds, sounds, icons. Want your 3DS to play the Kirby theme every time you turned it on? Done. Want a Zelda-themed interface with the item collection sound when you opened a folder? You got it. This wasn't just customization for customization's sake. This was Nintendo understanding that people form emotional connections with their devices, and that personalization actually deepens that connection. Even the Wii U, Nintendo's least successful modern console, had a charming interface with the Miiverse. It created a sense of community right on your home screen. And then came the Switch. The Switch UI it's fine. It's clean, it's fast, it works, but it has all the personality of an airport terminal sign. It's designed to get you into games quickly, which is a noble goal, but it completely abandons the charm and personality that made Nintendo interfaces special. And the Switch 2 continues this minimalist tradition with only minor updates to an already bare-bones system. No themes, no music, no personality, just functionality. Because that's definitely what we love about Nintendo. Their cold, calculating efficiency and minimalistic aesthetic. That's totally their brand identity, and not, colorful worlds and memorable characters and experiences that make you smile. So why did Nintendo make this shift? Well, according to their own developers, it's all about speed and efficiency. The Switch UI was designed to get players into games as quickly as possible with minimal distractions. And it's a valid design goal. Nobody wants to wade through menus just to play a game. But here's the thing, Nintendo's older interfaces weren't just menus you had to wade through. They were extensions of the Nintendo experience. Nintendo's design philosophy has traditionally been influenced by the Japanese concept, and I'm sorry for butchering this, Kisho Tenketsu. It's a 4-part structure that introduces an element, develops it, provides a twist, and then reaches a conclusion. This approach is evident in their game design, where they teach you through experience rather than explicit tutorials. But this philosophy seems to have been abandoned when it comes to their interface design. The Switch UI doesn't teach, develop, or surprise. It just exists. Another traditional Nintendo design principle is Hakoniwa, which literally means box garden. The idea is essentially crafting contained but rich environments that feel complete, yet explorable. In video games, this can be achieved with objectives hidden along the main path, but also off the beaten path. Western developers usually refer to this type of design as a sandbox-style game. But the Switch interface isn't a garden. It's a parking lot. It's efficient. It's functional, but it's not a place I'd like to spend time in or really explore. And I get it. We're all busy people. We don't have time to enjoy things anymore. Just give us the content as quickly as possible so we can consume it and move on to the next thing. Who needs joy or delight or personality when you can have efficiency? But users notice this stuff, maybe not consciously or being aware of what the terms are, but they feel it. The lack of customizational options on the Switch has been one of the most consistent complaints since its launch in 2017. And now 8 years later, in 2025, people are still asking for themes, for music, for personality, for the Nintendo charm they remember from previous consoles. The 3DS theme shop wasn't just a fun feature. It was a way for players to express themselves and feel ownership over their device. It created community engagement with players sharing their themes setups online. There was an entire community dedicated to creating custom 3DS themes. People spent hours designing and sharing these themes, not because they had to, because they wanted to, because they felt connected to their device and the Nintendo experience. The Switch doesn't have that. It's a device you use, not a device you connect with. And for a company whose entire brand is built on personality, quirkiness, and joy, it's a strange choice. The Switch 2 had an opportunity to bring back that Nintendo charm, to create an interface that wasn't just functional, but delightful. Instead, we got the same thing, but slightly faster. Because if there's one thing the Switch UI needed, it was to be 0.2 seconds faster. That's definitely what we were missing. Not themes, not music, not personality, or any of the things that made Nintendo interfaces special for decades. Speed. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is just nostalgia talking. Clean, efficient interfaces are better for business. But are they? Consider the 3DS theme shop. It wasn't just eye candy, it was a serious revenue driver. And to prove it, I dug up a poll of 655 3DS owners on GameFAQs from 2016. Yeah, I know, the ideal data source. Here's the breakdown. So if we can crunch the numbers, let's just assume a normal distribution and a perfectly random sample, the average owner bought 2.19 themes. Now you multiply that by 75.94 million consoles and an average theme price of $2 and you arrive roughly at $331.5 million in total revenue, with a 95% confidence interval from $280 million to $380 million. So it's making money. And that's not even including user retention. How often do people return to a platform is heavily influenced by emotional connection? Interfaces that create positive emotional responses keep users coming back. Nintendo isn't just a game company. It's an experience company. The entire brand is built on creating experiences that make you smile, that surprise you, that feel magical. Their marketing emphasizes joy, wonder, and shared experiences. Their games are colorful, musical, full of personality. And then there's this, an interface that could belong to any device from any company. An interface that says nothing about Nintendo's brand, identity, or values. It's almost like they just forgot who they are. Like they looked at every other tech company going minimalist and thought, yeah, that's what we need to do. People definitely associate Nintendo with sleek, efficient minimalism and not, colorful fun. So what could the Switch 2 UI have been? What if Nintendo had just remembered their own design philosophy and created an interface that was both efficient and charming? Fans have been creating concept designs for years, showing how themes could work without sacrificing speed, how music could be integrated without being intrusive, how the interface could actually just reflect the Nintendo experience. And the business benefits would be significant. Increased user engagement, additional revenue streams through a theme shop, stronger brand identity, and emotional connection. But more importantly, it would just feel like Nintendo again. It would feel like a company that understands that every interaction with their products should be joyful, not just the games themselves. Nintendo has always been best when it ignores what everyone else is doing and focuses on creating unique, joyful experiences. The Wii wasn't successful because it was the most powerful console. It was successful because it was just plain fun. The Switch 2 is an incredible piece of hardware with some really cool looking games coming out. It deserves an interface that matches that quality. An interface that says, this is Nintendo, the moment you turn it on. Look, I know this seems like a small thing to care about. In the grand scheme of problems facing the world, video game menu doesn't play music ranks pretty low. But design matters. The small interactions we have with technology every day shape our experience, our mood, and our connection to the device that we use. Nintendo used to understand this better than anyone. They created interfaces that weren't just functional, but magical. Magical little pockets of joy that made you smile before you even started playing a game. The Switch 2 UI works. It's fast, it's efficient, but it's not Nintendo. It's not magical, it's not joyful, and for a company whose entire identity is built on bringing joy to people's lives, it just feels like a missed opportunity. So here's hoping that somewhere in Kyoto, someone in Nintendo is working on an update that brings back just a little of that magic, that remembers that efficiency and charm aren't mutually exclusive, that understands that sometimes a little is all you need to turn a functional experience into a memorable one. Because that's what Nintendo has always been about. Creating memories. And it's a lot harder to create memories with grey rectangles.